We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.
What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you've not been to my channel before and seen this face, please get familiar with it. Love it, like it, enjoy it. Because I bring heat, legitimately heat. And today, in terms of the heat, what we're going to go over is the World Bank, the connections they have, who they are and how they are leading this charge. And that's going to tie into UK and Africa, their faster payment system. From their faster payment system, we'll be transitioning into the new instant payment platforms that they are creating here. And we're going to be going over BOE's, the Bank of England. So let's jump into this. First, to start, what is FAST? This is the World Bank's initiative here. What is it, you ask? It's a frictionless, affordable, safe, timely transaction. Retail fast payments, also known as instant, real-time, immediate, or rapid payments across payment service providers, allow for immediate fund availability to beneficiaries and can be used on a 24/7, 365 basis. As fast payment systems evolve, fast payment, not instant payment. Instant payment is a subsection of fast payments. They enable a diverse set of payment service providers, banks and non-banks, and support a variety of payments instruments, use cases, domestic and cross-border, transaction channels, and overlay services. The Payment Systems Development Group, PSDG, of the World Bank has assisted more than 120 countries in modernizing their payments systems over the years. You heard that? 120 countries in modernizing their payments platforms. And more recently, has played a leading role in global research and technical assistance to countries on their fast payments. Project FAST, with 2 T's, is a new milestone in this critical work sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Okay, sponsored by them. Let's go down here. Here are the current fast payment systems. The writing looks like you can't even read this. Someone needs to tell them to update their web page. Okay, so as we go to the Bill and Melinda Gates now, Mojaloop is the association or created by the Bill and Melinda Gates, Interledger Foundation, and Mojaloop Foundation, a shared vision. What we're looking at here is the partners. This is what we want to see. Just to jump in here, who their sponsor members are: Bill and Melinda Gates, Google, Interledger, Ripple. Okay, let's get back to this now. So from there, we are on this. This is the World Bank. What page are we on? 12. I want to show you what this is, just so you see. Page 12. Here we go. Interoperability in fast payment system, part of the World Bank Fast Payments Toolkit, September 21st, 2021. Again, don't be one of those people that are like, it's old, it's not relevant. To understand where you're going, you must know where you have come from. You need to be able to look behind you to say, yep, I know what got me here. I know what got me here and how this works. To gain experience, you had to have gone through things. It doesn't happen at the snap of a finger. You have to go through things to understand things, to gain experience, to gain wisdom, to not stay in this cyclical loop of things continuously happening to you. To break this loop, you eventually have to get off this Ferris wheel and go a different route. Okay, so here, So fast payment services are offered in a single interoperable infrastructure called Interbank Electronic Payments Systems. Operated by the central bank. SPEI processes both high and low value fast payments on a message by message basis. Although the system does not impose a transaction value limit, different rules apply for transactions depending on value. In the UK, the new payments architecture, NPA, currently in development, seeks to take this to another level by creating a system that will run previously separated retail infrastructures, fast payments, BACs, checks, and credits and clearing on a single infrastructured platform based on ISO 20022. The NPA system architecture will also include an access layer that enables the development of value-add services based on application programming interface or APIs that leverage the underlying clearing and settlement mechanism in the case of the NPA. So here we are at the BOE's new NPA. Let's get rid of this there and see what it's about. Their new NPA is known as Pay UK. New payments architecture, building a smarter way to move money. Now, we had heard that with the new infrastructure now, they are combining all the retail infrastructure into this one platform. Our new payments architecture, NPA program, is delivering the next generation retail payment system for the UK, central to our strategic vision to be the smartest way to move money. Remember, UK is leading this in terms of conglomerates, banks. They lead this. Yep, I understand Singapore, China, whatever. They all do their testing and they're ready to go. But remember who is leading this. Those guys are. It will enhance the capabilities of the current. We operate under English law. It doesn't get more English than that, all right? Platforms and unlock substantial benefits to our customers, to end users, and to the UK economy. We'll scroll through their web pages pretty quickly here, give you a good understanding of it. And here, about NPA, let's go check it out. They call me Mr. Bombastic, semi-fantastic, I'm something, maybe Mr. Romantic. The case for a modern payment system. As the recognized operator and standards body for UK's interbank retail payment system, we play a fundamental role to supporting the economy and society. Among our key priorities, is our continued work to ensure that our critical national infrastructure, did you catch that? Critical national infrastructure remains robust and resilient for years to come. For years to come. So now we heard about the NPA. Let's continue this dive here, because we don't do shallow dives on this site, on this platform. We do deep dives. So this site here, PSR, who are they? Who is PSR? The Payment Systems Regulator. These here are the players. These are the real players. Not no Gary Genslers and all. Those are puppets below everybody. These guys here are true. Kiss the ring, son. Kiss my ring. That's who they are, right? The ones wearing the fur coats, the hats with the feather on it, and that cane. That's who they are. New payments architecture. The UK payments industry's proposed new way of organizing interbank payments. Last updated when? Today. We want the UK's payment system to serve the diverse needs of business and consumers for many years to come. That's why we're closely monitoring the development and delivery of the new payments architecture. Monitoring and developing. The UK payments industry proposed new way of organizing the clearing and settlement of payments made from one payment account to another, known as interbank payments. Whether paying employee wages or transferring money to a friend using internet banking, interbank payments are a key part of everyday life for businesses and consumers alike. It's vitally important that they run smoothly and rise to the challenges of the future. Done well, the NPA has the potential to future-proof payment services in the UK by providing a robust and sustainable infrastructure where innovation and competition can thrive. Who's responsible for delivering the NPA? In 2015, again, all this is important. I'm setting up the stage here. We set up the Cross-Industry Payment Strategy Forum to identify, prioritize, and help deliver initiatives where it is necessary for the payments industry to work together to promote the collaboration. The forum published recommendations which included consolidating the operators of BAC, checks and credits, faster payments. In addition, the strategy proposed the creation of a new payments architecture to join everything together. When we then set up the Payment System Operator Delivery Group, PSODG, with the Bank of England in October 2016 to consider key issues relating to the potential consolidation. Whenever they always have to create new groups to create up different acronyms, always. The PSOD group published a report in May 2017 setting out its recommendations on the key characteristic of a proposed new payment systems operator, NPSO. With the NPA, new payments, what the heck is a architecture? As one of its core deliverables, the NPSO became Pay UK. That's what we were just on. That's what Pay UK is. Pay UK is a new payments architecture. In October 2018, and operates as a not-for-profit company limited by guarantee. Everything's not-for-profit, right? It's all not-for-profit. It is responsible for delivering the NPA. What's the role? The NPA is one of the biggest changes happening in UK payments, and the role of the PSR is vital in making sure this change works well for people and businesses. They want to line them pockets still. They want to line them pockets. It's great for people, level playing field, but the more people they have utilizing these services, more money for them, right? More money for me, son. Alongside the Bank of England, we are monitoring Pay UK's work throughout the development of the NPA. Together, we're working to ensure that the NPA is resilient and takes account to and promotes good outcomes for all users. So you have the BOE, and you have this system here, the fast payment system / instant payment system. Fast payment system is going to be first, and then you're going to have the instant payment afterwards. So let's go through this now. A history of some of the key actions we have taken over recent years can be found below. So let's go to 2024. In 2024, they published a letter to Pay UK. PSR published a letter to Pay UK asking them to provide them with the information that they'll use to inform or approach to investment into the current fast payment system. What is it talking about? I just want to take some attention here on my Patreon here. I want to get this out so you guys know. Within my Patreon here, I do my best to put out information here, private information to the group. It's $10 a month, and I provide a wealth of information here. If you're looking to learn how to maximize and capitalize on your crypto profits and gains, once that comes about, you will want a place to store it and secure your wealth, because if not, you'll be riding the crypto wave up and down. And I teach you how to purchase real estate, what to look for, what the trends are of real estate. I teach you about cryptocurrency. I teach you about finances. I teach you about the regulations in the back end of things too. And depending on which tier that you purchase, you can definitely get access to me, and we can chat one-to-one, and I can teach you personally as a mentor on how to go about real estate, how to capitalize on this wealth transfer. Here we go. Payment Systems Regulator, Mark Hoban, Chair of Pay UK. Dear Mark, Dear Mark, to you in recognition of a number of developments relevant to the NPA work program, we are mindful that payment markets are not standing still, and we need to progress with investments that support the economy. They're not standing still at all. They're not where we would like them. We want them at a halt. We need them standing still, so that we can roll out this new payments architecture. We need the old system done and gone with. I added those clearly. This letter is therefore sent in recognition of regulatory process being ongoing, the uncertainty and delay created by the government announcing its intention to consider the NPA's role as part of the national payments vision, and Pay UK's subsequent decision to pause the NPA program. I recognize that these events have led to significant delay in faster payments migration, and that faster payments will likely be operational for significantly longer than originally envisaged. In light of this, and following discussions with you, we note that many customers have released their change resources for 2024. So change resources will come into play in 2024. Did you get that? Did you get that? And need to understand a way forward soon in order to secure resources for 2025. Because in 2025, we may have accidentally have something rolling out. I don't know what that is. I don't know what else could stop the banking system because it hasn't stopped these systems yet. But there could be something coming out yet. I don't know what it is. I don't, Mark. I don't know what it is. But for 2025, we need to have that information ready to go. So let me just get back to my letter here because I'm talking in my head in hopes that you understand what is going on, Mark. I need you on board with me, okay? So let's get back to this. Shit. Okay, I consider it sensible for PayUK to begin discussion with Vocalink. Why is Vocalink important, you say, Mark? Let me show you why Vocalink is important. Because at 11:03 a.m. on August 30th, 2016, Ripple real-time payments are the new normal in Europe via Vocalink with Ripple. Right? Right, Mark? That's what it says here. Ripple put this out. None of this is my words. I don't make up my own words here. I write down what I know. But Mark, why is Vocalink so important? I mean, they connect to a company like ACI worldwide, who is connected to thousands upon thousands of banks. And they're partnered with Ripple too. This is why Vocalink is important, because we need this continuity. We need this network effects, the network effect to take place, Mark. The Saudis are also partnered with Vocalink. Ripple is partnered with the Saudis. I'm just enjoying talking like that. That's who I'm talking with. I'm that guy writing that letter. The Saudis are partnered with Vocalink for real-time payment too, Mark. Mark, if the Saudis are doing it, we must do this. Mark, Payments Canada is also partnered. They've selected MasterCard's Vocalink as the clearing and settlement solution provider for Canada's new real-time payment system as well. If Canada's doing this, and the Saudis are doing this, Mark, we don't want to get left behind. We need to be there. We need to be in there like swimwear, Mark. We have to be there. Mark, MasterCard, which operates Vocalink, formed a CBDC partnership program with Ripple and Consensus. Mark! MasterCard's new program aims to bring together key industry players to explore CBDC innovations with initial partners including Ripple, Consensus, and Fireblock. Mark, do you understand what I'm trying to show you here? So now that we know that they need to have all their resources for 2025 with Vocalink, I consider it sensible for PayUK to begin discussions with Vocalink at the earliest opportunity to determine an appropriate scope and cost for the following. Require additional resilience-related investments needed for FPS, faster payments systems, and potential options for increased capability that might now be justified. We would expect that you would consider the potential for upgrades to deliver additional capabilities identified by the PSR. For example, on our work on open banking, the capabilities and benefits envisaged as part of the NPA program and any other outcome identified more recently. The PSR recognizes PayUK's role as a payment system operator. They are recognized by the payment systems regulator, okay, as a payment systems operator. The NPA PayUK is now known as an operator. They are the faster payment systems for the UK. Therefore, I asked that. Okay, I read that. Yeah, key milestone. I have to provide the following. Key milestones and timing for the items set out in the preceding section. Your initial view on the likely scope and cost of the items set out in the preceding sections, which we just read. Your view on the impact of this request on procurement of a new central infrastructure as recommended by the Payment Strategy Forum, and your view on the likely industry reaction. I also acknowledge that the delay referred to above and the consequences that flow from the delay are likely to impact Pay UK's ability to meet its specific Direction 3 deadline of July 1st, 2026. So they're saying, I'm back to Mr. Man again, they are saying there could be a delay for this new payment system. Should there be a delay, is there something that causes this delay? What could cause such a delay? I don't know what could cause the delay. I don't know why they said that there could be a delay, but I know something that could help roll this out and prevent this delay from becoming a reality. This could be one thing. This could be one thing. This could be one thing. So here we have a visual of what that looks like. The faster payment system and the central bank side by side. And then the other banks around it. And then you have the indirect participants and the payment providers and the users and the corporate merchants. This is how it looks. This is how it looks. The government and the individuals. This is the visual of it, okay? This is how it looks. But I want to read you guys one other thing. Oh, and by the way, just so you're aware too, this is another World Bank document, The Future of Fast Payments, FAST, from October 2023. Alright, we're just going over the World Bank documents. So what I want to do is show you guys the flow. This is the infamous document where you see Ripple and Stellar as stable coins, XLM, XRP as stable coins, right? But we're going to take it from a different point of view and show you guys how that actually works. I'm breaking it down like nobody has done it before for y'all. So we're going to go to Escrow here. A little bit of Escrow in my life. A little bit of Monica. Okay. So these models show distinct characteristics which can be summarized as the following. Whether individual payments are settled on ledger or recorded off ledger, whether funds are locked or escrowed, whether payments are enforced when the predefined condition for the payment is fulfilled, and whether specific ledger functionalities are required to conduct transfers, such as functionalities to enforce conditional transfers and process signed claims. What does that mean? That's not what I want. This is the one I want here. But keep that in mind still. So two central banks then join. Okay, so I'll read from here. Further development, the Jasper Ubin project. More recently, building on three models just discussed, the BOC, Bank of Canada, and Mass Monetary Authority of Singapore explored how their original CBDC projects could be developed so as to offer cross-border payment solutions. In 2016, the two central banks had embarked on Project Jasper and Project Ubin, respectively, to investigate the use of DLT, distributed ledger technology, for the clearing and settlement of payments and securities. Specifically, the two projects envisioned a tokenized form of wholesale CBDC issued on the blockchain by the central bank for use by commercial banks. The two central banks then joined forces to understand how the Jasper and Ubin prototype networks developed on different blockchain platforms could interoperate. Different blockchains, different platforms, how do they work? How do they interoperate? I'm going to show you guys this visually. That way you will have an understanding. Remember where you heard this. Allowing cross-border settlements. Okay, essentially, the model allows for cross-border, cross-currency, cross-platform atomic transactions to take place through an intermediate account and without the need for transacting parties to hold funds with a third party, like an escrow. So in this model, the intermediate escrow account is used and operate autonomously as a smart contract. So that escrow is a smart contract essentially, with predefined rules such that no action proceeds. If any preceding action fails, if anything fails, the whole transaction fails, thus ensuring the end-to-end consistency of each transaction. In the context of cross-border payments, where the transaction consists of two parts, one in the home country and one in the other jurisdiction. Let's see what this looks like. I don't tell you guys what to invest in. I will tell you some of the things that I'm investing in, like Cosmos, one of them here. This is a connection of Cosmos and ILP, and let's see how this connection works.
Two hub chains in the Cosmos network. There's one called the Cosmos Hub, and there's another one called Iris. So we're already kind of following this process. Some chains that are basically, specially designed to talk to to just try to connect to as many other chains as possible. And these are called hub chains in our lingo. But the idea is like there's no central chain here. You can have multiple different hubs that are connecting to each other, kind of like, BGP or whatnot. And then we already have two hub chains in the Cosmos network. There's one called the Cosmos Hub, and there's another one called Iris. So we're already kind of following this process. And so I'll just walk through a really quick user story of why, what is an example of something you could do when you have cross-chain asset transfer that you couldn't maybe do with plain ILP with cross-chain value transfer. So, let's say here's this Cosmos network, a couple of chains here. You got Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain, and you want to use it to go gamble on the Funfair blockchain, right? You play some, I don't know, lottery games or something there. So you can go ahead and use your token. You can move your BTC there, and let's say, I don't know, you won a lot of BTC. Great, because you're really good at gambling. But this is tainted. Now everyone knows that you won this money by gambling or whatnot, right? So what you can do now is, maybe you want to send these assets to the Zcash chain, for example. And you can use the Zcash chain as a mixer of sorts and send it through there. And now look, you got clean Bitcoin again on the other side. And great, now you got this clean Bitcoin. One of your friends made a bet with you, you're really into CryptoKitties. And so he's like, oh, I bet you can't breed a orange CryptoKitty within 6 months. And so you're like, all right, cool. But the problem is that 6 months is a long time frame for a bet. BTC is super volatile. What you want to do is maybe send it over to the Binance DEX and swap it for some stable DAI token. Cosmos, a lot of what we're focusing on is we really have this vision of application-specific blockchains where we think that large-scale applications should be deployed on their own chain. But that doesn't mean that smart contracting isn't useful. Smart contracting is useful for the use cases it's meant for, which is short-term things that need high levels of customizability. ICOs are honestly a great use case for smart contracts because that's exactly what they are, high customizability, short-term things. And so, if you want to make a bet, you can move it to the Ethereum chain, or we have a chain called Ethermint, which takes the EVM and puts it on a Tendermint consensus. But yeah, so you can go ahead and, move your tokens to the Ethereum chain, and go ahead, your friend will also put down the same amount of DAI, and you guys can lock it together into a smart contract. And then, 6 months pass, and, you can take your orange CryptoKitty, and, you can send it as, one of the things you can't do with ILP really is move non-fungible assets across chain. And so here you can actually move proof of the claim to of an orange CryptoKitty to that chain and prove it to the smart contract, allowing you to win the bet and win your friend's DAI. So this is a toy example, but here's kind of a hodgepodge of things that you could do that only work when you have stateful transfers and communication between chains. And so IBC and ILP have I think they both have their special use cases. IBC, like I said, really well designed for stateful transfers and non-fungible assets. You get this whole thing of you can do all this shared security stuff, which I'll get into in a bit. You can also when I got into Cosmos, I was quite a bit of a Bitcoin maximalist, and I was just I want Bitcoin to be the currency for use in many chains. And so, the idea was you can do that with Cosmos, where like BTC can flow out of the Bitcoin blockchain and into all of these other blockchains and be used as the primary asset in lots of different blockchains. Where ILP is useful, it has its benefits as well. I think, if someone's doing payments across chains, I think ILP is like way more useful. Like I want to receive ETH and you want to pay in BTC, ILP is probably the best way to do it. It's useful for like simple exchange and trading. I personally would not use it for like actual like legitimate trading because you need some sort of order book and stuff there. But for simple exchange, it makes sense. And I think one of the nice things is it has less assumptions than IBC. So here in IBC, every chain that wants to be part of this has to natively implement this IBC protocol. And so we're kind of in the process of creating. We have a working group right now who's working on this IBC spec and trying to make it like very cross-compatible. We have so far right now it's us, the Agoric team, Loom Network, Prismatic Labs, who's one of the ETH 2.0 developers. So if anyone's interested in joining this like IBC working group and like making sure IBC works with more and more different types of chains, let us know. And then one of the things I think the bigger one is faster value transfer. I think the UX on ILP is way better. If I'm trying to send coins, if I want to quickly move between chain to chain, IBC requires like doing these hops, which actually I'll let the diagram show it. So, basically, I guess almost a year ago now, there was like an Interledger like hacker weekend or something at this house, like somewhere in East Bay. Scott from Kava asked me like, oh, what are some like cool ideas when you start to combine IBC and ILP? And that kind of got me thinking of a couple of different things. And so I started thinking about that. And so here's a couple of things of what are some cool things that come out when you actually combine these two protocols together. So one, I think, is definitely, ILP definitely massively improves the Cosmos UX, the interchain UX. And what I mean by that is, so, just a reminder, what ILP is useful for is really useful for doing this, like, swap thing. What IBC would do is, I take my BTC that's on the Bitcoin chain, and I could, go do an IBC transfer to the Cosmos, to like Hub 1. I have the BTC there, and then I have to do another IBC transfer to Hub 2, and another IBC transfer to, the final chain that I'm trying to get to. And, IBC is I'd call it a relatively heavy protocol. In my head, I like to think of ILP as this very lightweight UX thing, while IBC is relatively heavy, like depending on what your for token transfers, depending on what kind of security you want, you usually have it do like a send, a receipt, and then another receipt. And so, every IBC transfer takes maybe like 2 blocks on each chain. And so let's say each of these chains have like 3 to 5 second block times, right? That it'll still take, each IBC transfer will take like a good like 10, 15 seconds, right? And so, doing this entire process of getting across to the other side, realistically, we can imagine it'll probably take at least 30 seconds. So here's my proposal for how I think ILP can massively help the Cosmos ecosystem. For this example, I have a Cosmos validator company called Sika, and I wanted to start running ILP connectors soon. So I'll just use my company as an example here, where what I could do is, as a company who's like focused on this and specialized at this, I can take a bunch of my BTC on the Bitcoin blockchain and, IBC it over to the chain and just spread it everywhere, all over to all these different zones, everywhere I want to send them. I'm holding on to some BTC on all of these different zones. Then, a user comes along and what they want to do is, if they want to go from this is a chain over here, they want to go to the chain over there, they have the option of, one way they could do it is they could do an IBC transfer, which is really slow and, not fun, in my opinion, from a user standpoint. When you add ILP in, what they could do is, like I said, all these users are Bitcoin maximalists, everything else is a shitcoin. They want to use BTC as their currency on every chain, right? And so they want BTC on that other chain. But now what they could do is, they can do an ILP transfer, send that to Sika. Sika can send the user the coins, and then, they could keep doing it as much as needed and get all the coins that they need. And now, But look, now Sika's in a problem where, if anyone else wants to transfer more coins to that chain, because maybe that chain is like really popular for some reason right now. Maybe there's an ICO going on that chain, and everyone is trying to rush coins into there. Sika, being a company who's specially designed for this, we can use IBC and because the UX problem isn't an issue for us. We're a company designed to do this, so we can use IBC to go ahead and rebalance our portfolio and just keep allowing this cyclical pattern to work where the companies will use IBC to rebalance their portfolios and users will use ILP to actually do the transfer between the same asset but on different chains. So that's one of the use cases I think that has this cool synergy there.
We're back on this document here, the World Bank document here. Just want to read what it says here. An example of a funds transfer. Here only a general illustration is reported of how the Interledger Protocol in the World Bank documents. We saw how Interledger and IBC connect. Interledger is that payments funnel. You need a connector between those two blockchains. That's where IBC is. IBC has their way of doing things. Interledger has its way of doing things. But in between that, IBC is the connector through Cosmos. Interledger is that currency agnostic vehicle, if you will. A ledger agnostic protocol allows the sender to make payments across different types of ledgers. The building blocks of the protocol are participants, ledgers, and payments methods, whereby participants are entities that have accounts on one or more ledgers and participate in the cross-ledger payments. Ledgers indicate any system used to track transfer of value between and balances on accounts, and payment methods as above are bilateral agreements between participants on specific methods to make payments and settle obligations on the ledger. The choice of payment methods depends on participants' preferences and ledger functionalities. Participants can assume 3 roles within the Interledger Protocol: sender, receiver, and connector. Let's see what that looks like. Again, it's not this. This is not the answer. It is not Bitcoin. This is the W3C website, the www.w3c website. This is the internet's website, essentially. It's not Bitcoin. They don't need another network. They need a network of networks like that. Something to connect all the individuals' networks like that, as we heard from that conference. And showing, if you will, a training session of ILP, or Interledger Protocol, and IBC through Cosmos. How to connect those different hubs we were talking about, or they were talking about, I should say. How does that work? What is the mechanism that does this? Well, let's find out. Let's find out what that mechanism is. This is how the workflow looks. It's limitless scalability because it does one thing and one thing well. It's ledger agnostic, and it converts currency. It's currency agnostic. Connectors and ledgers can be added to handle more payments. Ripple's ecosystem is a deconstructed application. The XRP ledger as the main infrastructure. You have Evernote as the smart contracts. You have Interledger as the money connector, if you will, agnostic currency thing there. Within this ecosystem, you have the option of XRP. XRP is more than likely going to be used. More than likely going to be used. This is how it looks because it's the cheapest option for these interbank payments. The cheapest option. All right, no matter where you go, it's going to be XRP. This is how it looks again. That being said, why will it more than likely be XRP within that ecosystem in accordance with MiCA rules, markets and crypto assets? My man Smoke, shout outs to the great Smoke. Evidence that XRP will be covered under MiCA. MiCA's crypto asset regulations will cover utility tokens. According to Mackenzie's sources cited below, XRP is a utility token. There we have that. This is back then. MiCA utility token. We have out here our assumption 155 trillion in 2018, growing 4% annually to eventually reach 130 trillion in 2028. Rationale: utilizing Mackenzie's estimate of global cross-border payments occurring each year being around 150 trillion. We grow this number by 4% annually. That's massive. So that being said, this is an interesting question, and there are so many different types of crypto and cryptocurrency. There is continuum between the currency and the assets. I will refer you to a paper that I personally like very much. It was written by Swiss person. I think it was FINMA. FINMA is the Swiss regulator that published it, and it was a good article because it looks at crypto assets from different angles. Sometimes I use the word crypto instead of currency or assets, as it is, in fact, a token that uses cryptography, and I can use very technical IT terminology here, but it's simply a token. This token can be used for many things. One example was Ripple, which was mentioned by the group session yesterday. I was excited when I heard someone say Ripple and wondered which one they were referring to. If you're talking about Ripple that is traded as a currency, then it's very different. Ripple, use the word Ripple very loosely, and sometimes when they say Ripple, they're referring to RippleNet. RippleNet acts like an account, which is more like an interledger. Notice all these words again. Bit used for cross-border payments. If you look at Ripple in this context, it's more likely a utility token. And within that document, on the side here, you'll see 80% cross-border market share by 2029. 2029 we're talking about. Ripple's S-curve growth forecast. Right? 80% by 2029. Let's continue what we were talking about now. So we're talking about fast payment systems here now. Okay? This is another document by the World Bank, 2021, September. Over almost the past decade, Ripple has been developing DLT-based network for cross-border payments. The RippleNet allows financial institutions to send and receive international payments from a single pre-funded account. Remember, we had gone over this earlier. The fast payments sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates. On Bill and Melinda Gates Mojo Loop website, we have Interledger and Ripple. A subsection of Ripple created Interledger Protocol, and they gifted it to the W3C. We were on the W3C website where they're talking about Interledger there. We're just going down the line of what the Bank of England, of what the World Bank is stating. So just continuing. Ripple has been developing DLT. Okay, so the RippleNet allows financial institutions to send and receive international payments from a single pre-funded account. RippleNet allows for the fiat-to-fiat transaction as well as the use of XRP, digital currency, to bridge between different jurisdictions. Ripple has signed hundreds of banks onto its network. Hundreds of banks, including such major players as Santander. Other industry examples of DLT solutions in use in this development include Visa, B2B Connect, but it's different. They're talking about RippleNet, which is the siloed individual company or use case within the XRPL ledger. So they're comparing apples to apples now with RippleNet and JPM and blah, 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 blah. But this is all taking place on ILP, XRPL. So just going down the line now. Here we are talking another fast payment system here from September as well. They're talking about the G20 roadmap here and RippleNet being utilized here. I'm just going to start skimming through this stuff quickly. So here we have, which one is this one? Messaging standards in fast payments, February 2022. So now they're setting up the stage for the standards. And then we have here. We end up in the future of the fast payments, October 2023. Let's read this abstract. I want to know what the future is. So setting the context. So we know that their World Bank is connected to Bill and Melinda Gates. We know Bill and Melinda Gates is connected to Google, Interledger, and Ripple. We know Ripple, the World Bank, is talking about really highly, very, very highly about fast payment systems. We know the BOE now has the NPA. NPA is their new fast payment system. Ripple and Interledger is connecting to all the fast payment systems. So you have the central banks, central bank, Interledger, fast payment system, Interledger, fast payment system, Interledger, central bank, That's how this is working. The World Bank has been monitoring closely the development of fast payment systems by central banks and private players across the globe. This comprehensive study of the FPS implementation has resulted in a policy toolkit. The toolkit was designed to guide countries and regions on the likely alternatives and models that could assist them in their policy and implementation choices when they embark on their faster payments journey. So that being said, we're talking about faster payments journeys here. I want to show you guys this document here again. The World Bank document again. Just going back here. There's a particular page I want to show you. I want to show you this model that they're talking about here. And then we're going to discuss that model as well. This is the model here, model 3C. Country to country, utilizing a universal wholesale CBDC. A universal wholesale CBDC. So here we go. Let's read the description of this UWCBDC, Universal CBDC. Description of Model 3C. Several participating jurisdictions, through either their respective central bank or a global multilateral institution, agree to create a universal. They agree to create a universal wholesale CBDC. Just as the chart we went over there. The wholesale CBDC would be backed by a basket of currencies issued by the participating central banks and would be issued via the exchange specifically created to allow for its issuance and redemption. The conversion of a jurisdiction's currency into the universal wholesale CBDC would create an exchange rate between that currency and the wholesale CBDC. A framework for how this would be managed should collectively be determined by the participating central banks. So let's see about these wholesale CBDCs right here. So we are discussing Project Dunbar. Project Dunbar is the project they were working on for this. So let's see what that is about. This is the South African Reserve Bank, and it prepares for digital currency. This is Rashad Kasim. Okay, let's check this out.
A number of central banks are joining forces to develop a prototype platform for cross-border transactions using multiple central bank digital currencies, so-called CBDCs. The banks
Did you catch that? Using multiple CBDCs or mCBDC. So an mCBDC, that Universal Wholesale CBDC, my man Smoke Dog again, connection between Ripple, mCBDC, Bridge, the mBridge platform, blockchain-based SDR. So that's the SDR, that mCBDC, or Universal Wholesale CBDC. The mCBDC Bridge platform can be maintained by liquidity pools on Ripple's on-demand liquidity platform using ISO 20022 as the common standard. Let's see what he says. So once central bank digital currency systems are implemented in certain countries, then it would be very much possible to integrate them for exchanging payments messaging through arrangements like mCBDC or interlinking. Interlinking are what the fast payments are doing right now. How you have Do It Now and Prompt Pay between Singapore and Thailand. So Ripple, a leading distributed ledger technology, cross-border payments, has already adopted ISO 20022 standard. Hence, we could possibly see other DLT platform-based networks follow suit. So the second way to maintain the liquidity pool is by bringing the mCBDC bridge on Ripple's on-demand liquidity platform. The multi-currency common settlement platform will allow countries to pay each other directly without costly intermediary correspondent banks, including in the chain. The integrated mCBDC model increases the shared control over governance, with all participating needing to abide by a single rulebook and governance arrangements, which informs the structure of the shared ledger. The shared ledger is this universal ledger, the public platform that everybody will be using. It's the main ledger. The mCBDC model will need to introduce a set of common standards to ensure that a nation's CBDC can connect to other external systems. The ISO standard provides the common language for CBDCs. This standard also provides the basis for mCBDC interoperability, while the G20 Common Bridging Platform will act as a clearing center for cross-payment transaction. The bridging platform will need to manage exchange rates. I believe there's one more. So, with smaller down payment collaborating banks, will issue a special drawings right on commodity that can be traded in the smart contract-based blockchain platform. The SDRC will reduce the financing pressure and cost for the importer and ensure the exporter gets paid if the importer changes their mind due to unforeseen reasons, which is typically in today's individual company-based case. The SDRC can be bought and sold on the platforms in a country's CBDC. The G20 Common Bridging Platform and the proposed central bank own exchange application will provide all the necessary regulatory enforcement using smart contract technology. A standard interface to the mBridge, mCBDC bridge, will be developed to integrate the regulators' requirements. mBridge goes live this year. So here we have Benedict Nolans of the Bank of International Settlements, or the BISIH Innovation Hub out in Hong Kong. And she's the one overseeing this project right now. Let's hear what she has to say about it going live.
mBridge, just to mention to you what that is, because the Bank of Israel is an observer to mBridge as well. So that is the only current project within the BISIH that is using DLT for the purpose of cross-border payment. So the idea is that we build a common protocol or a common platform where CBDCs can facilitate atomic settlement in the cross-border context. Now, you all know cross-border is plagued by high cost, low speed, low transparency. For example, you don't know where your payment is. At least that's what used to happen to me all the time. I send a payment to Europe, and where is it exactly? You don't know. Now, it is improving with Swift GPI, so I do want to point that out. There are operational complexities, the exact same that Lian showed you for Sela, which is the many intermediaries, and therefore the impact on needing to hold liquidity is actually the same in a cross-border chain. It's very similar. So you could eliminate actually a lot of this cost as well. And lastly, we say something called limited access, because as a result of the global fines that have been imposed on the correspondent banks, which were very significant in size, a lot of the correspondents have withdrawn from many markets. And as they withdrew, these markets become excluded from the financial system. So we call this jurisdiction financial exclusion. This project is the only one that achieved an actual real value pilot. And what that means is we sent real value through the platform. There was a total of 20 participating commercial banks, 4 per jurisdiction of 4 jurisdictions. There was a total of 163 payments, totaling $22 million. And this went without actually a hiccup. So the good thing was there wasn't a need for severe intervention from our side. So this project, we're trying to drive it in the direction of an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, but which would also be a live product. So it is a system that stays up and running. That's where we're trying to go to. And we're trying to achieve that by, I could say, the middle of next year.
So-called CBDCs. The banks involved in this include the Bank for International Settlements Innovation Hub, the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the South African Reserve Bank. Well, to tell us more about this initiative and its implications if the experiment does take off, I'm joined by Deputy Governor Rashad Kasim. Thank you very much, Deputy Governor Kasim. Now, the initiative is called Project Dunbar. Just tell us a bit more about its purpose and the mechanics thereof.
Thank you, Nompu. As many of you will be aware, that CBDCs have become a buzzword in many central banks, and the SARB, like many other central banks, are involved in experimenting with CBDC. This is one leg of our CBD strategy, where we work with banks like the Bank of Singapore, Australia, and Malaysia to look at an element of cross-border transactions, which many of you may be aware from your own experience, is often very, very expensive, very difficult to understand, it's opaque and so on. So the idea is to get a few countries involved in trying to develop a common platform to assess whether one could improve on the nature and mode of cross-border digital transactions in a way that doesn't currently exist.
So ultimately, what will be the benefit of these cross-border digital currency settlement processes, especially, on the issue that you touched on around it being quite expensive usually to do these types of transactions?
So the benefit, Nompu, is that firstly, time. So you do a transaction, it takes a couple of days for it to clear on the other side. Secondly, costs. The number of opaque transaction costs to foreign currency exchanges and transmissional funds to another market, remittances in particular. Third is that you'll have a better sense of how it exactly the whole process works. Just more clarity, more transparency in what this happens. I should say we're a bit far away from that, but this is the main objective of Project Dunbar.
Yeah. So you say, of course, we're a bit far away from it, but would it effectively mean that intermediaries, for example, would be put out of business?
So, one has to put into context the whole central bank digital currency initiative that many central banks are embarking on. The idea of a digital currency is that we have physical cash. People use physical cash, whether it's domestically or whether it's through a platform between this country and another country. The idea about digital currency is that it's meant to be almost a digital version of cash. And it's really this digital version of cash is that what ultimately central banks are experimenting with. Now, why is it important here? Coming back to your question, it's important because there's a recognition of the fact that a number of people don't have access to easy payments. You and I have credit cards, so we may not be a direct beneficiary of this kind of thing. Other people who don't have access to banking and so on may find this as a very, very, very useful thing. So that's the one benefit. The other, so we call it more or less financial inclusion. It's its ability to kind of include people. Now, it's a long way to, one has to kind of think very hard before one makes the claim that the introduction of central bank digital currency will be a threat to financial intermediaries. And by financial intermediaries, you're referring to banks and other sorts of foreign exchange providers and so on. I think that what this could ultimately do is create more kind of a more leaner financial system. It could create more competition. It could contribute to lower costs of payments and so on. That's really what it could do. I don't think we're at this stage where we ought to be worried about the total disruption of financial intermediaries. One must remember that the SARB is responsible for financial stability, and we have to make sure that any kind of initiative we introduce doesn't put the financial system at risk.
Yeah, indeed. Now, have you started to experiment with rolling out aspects of this thing to retail players? I mean, at what point do you anticipate that this will be introduced to the wider market for ordinary businesses and folk to be able to use? So, several central banks are at different stages of this. Some have just begun research. Some have begun prototypes of experimenting with it, and some have run pilot projects. So, for example, the Bank of China has a pilot project where it actually has given an experiment to a number of consumers and retailers to actually experiment with the digital currency. Where we are at the moment is we have a prototype that we're developing. I guess in about 2 years we will determine whether we want to move to the next phase or not. In 2 years' time, we really will be doing a major evaluation to say we're not ready. We're going to rely on something else, such as the payment system, other than a digital currency, or we think that we really want to go all out
to have a pilot and select a random bunch of households to kind of see how this thing could work. So that's really where we are. We are in the project prototype phase.
Deputy Governor.
They are in the pilot prototype phase, he says. Let's see where they're at now. That was a 2-year-old video. Let's see where they're at. South Africa Reserve Bank, SARB. This came out just last year. My cell phone number, ping, paid, ship. They now have a payment system, a fast payment system which moves low values on T+0 settlement known as PayShap. That's how this moves. From my bank to your bank, let me show you how this looks. This is how this app, how it looks now in the back. Remember I showed you Interledger there as the connecting between the fast payment system. This is the fast payment system now. This is the fast payment system, and it connects to the back-end central bank, connects to the fast payment system, the Interledger. Let's do this. Let's do this. So jumping back to the July 1st, 2026 date, which got pushed back, supposedly maybe pushed back. We were talking about this earlier with the NPA and pay.uk, that paper we were reading, that document by the PSR. According to the search result, on July 1st, 2026, was originally set for the deadline for payment. So I told you that PayShap is T+0 settlement time, which means it's atomic settlement. They move low value. So each participant can move 3,000 Rand per day. 3,000 Rand per day. Low value. Low value. So now we know what Africa's doing. They're not connected to anybody else yet, but they are in the process of connecting to India's UPI. So let's continue reading this here. It was originally set for that date to comply with specific Direction 3 issued by the Payment System Regulator PSR regarding the new payments architecture. Specific Direction 3 relates to the development and implementation of the MPA system. So the implementation of it, which aims to consolidate the modernize the UK's interbank payment system. However, the PCR has acknowledged that PayUK is likely to miss the July 2026 date for Specific Direction 3 due to delays in the MPA implementation. As a result, the PSR stated that it needs to consider the implementation of this delay and will engage with pay.uk on the consequences of not meeting the Specific Direction 3 deadline. So, could there be an event to spark this meeting that date? Could there be? So when consolidation takes place, which rails would be utilized for payments? Would it be old or new rails for PayUK? Let's see, because we were talking about payment systems, fast payment systems in Africa and instant payment systems for the UK, which is the leader. So specifically, the sources mentioned there is an option or opportunity for businesses to leverage new technology like distributed ledger technology to replace existing outdated payment rails and improve improve user experience. As part of the consolidation and strengthening of services, payment institutions are expected to expand their offerings to include new local payment methods. Institutions are expected, not they should, not it would be cool, not alright bro. They are expected to expand their offerings to include new local payment methods, consolidating them on a single platform rather than relying on old systems. The MPA system itself, led by PayUK, we were on that page, aims to consolidate and modernize the UK's interbanking payment systems by replacing the existing infrastructure with new consolidated payment rails. So with new consolidated rails, would DLT be used? Yes, DLT is expected to be utilized as part of the new consolidated payment rails being developed under the new payment architecture, which is in UK. The BOE recognizes the potential of technologies like DLT, referred to as tokenization, for modernizing the UK's payment infrastructure. There was a speech called The Potential for Atomic Settlement Using Tokenized Forms of Money and Financial Assets on DLT. One of the sources stated that as businesses look to leverage new technologies to replacing existing outdated payment rails, there is growing demand for DLT as an alternative set for cross-border payment rails. It also mentioned that payment service providers are expected to expand their offering to include new payments. We read that. A LinkedIn post highlights the BOE's interest in modernizing the UK's payment rails using the latest DLT technology. Here we go. So now we're back in UK. ETSI, permission distributed ledger technology, interledger operability, from Etsy, from 2022. I just want to read the forward introduction. Enabling communication between different DLT is a challenge that can be resolved in favor of scalability. We learned about unlimited scalability through Interledger if interoperability is implemented with security. However, the architecture, taxonomy, and ontology of the DLT landscape is certainly very diverse, and with a variety of technical issues and challenges that a lot of time and effort are being invested in deploying approaches and solutions. This is in favor of the ecosystem as a whole. Priorities for multi-stakeholders are based on interoperability and cross-chain solutions. We've gone over cross-chain solution as ILP, Interledger Protocol. They're also talking about Interledger Protocol and IBC, which is Cosmos. Cosmos also, in terms of the smart contracts or connectivity, would need something along the lines of Polkadot, and their parachains. So I've given you different connecting ledgers or projects or blockchains now. We've spoken about ILP, we've spoken about RippleNet, XRPL, Cosmos, DOT, and how they all work together. Well, I think I'm coming to the end here. There's so much to go over, and I can't put this all in one video. I cannot put this all in one video. We are at over an hour now. I do know, I'm sure you guys found value in this one. I hope you guys watched till the end, because if you did, you now have a more keen, easily English understanding of what's taking place in our reality based on this DLT crypto world here, how the faster payments are connecting to newer faster payments popping up like Africa's PayShap, the Bank of England's or the UK's Pay UK now. Again, you have the faster payments connectivity, clearing and settling. In between, like where my hands are, that's the Interledger. This is the faster payments. You have the Interledger again. This is the banks, central banks over here. Interledger again. This is whatever commercial bank is at the end at that point. RippleNet is over here on the central banks. That's how the central banks have that one rule book to govern them all, which is through Ripple. I do hope you guys found value on this one. I will catch you on the next one.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
I just want to take some attention here on my Patreon here. I want to get this out so you guys know. Within my Patreon here, I do my best to put out information here, private information to the group. It's $10 a month, and I provide a wealth of information here. If you're looking to learn how to maximize and capitalize on your crypto profits and gains, once that comes about, you will want a place to store it and secure your wealth, because if not, you'll be riding the crypto wave up and down. And I teach you how to purchase real estate, what to look for, what the trends are of real estate. I teach you about cryptocurrency, I teach you about finances, I teach you about the regulations in the back end of things too. And depending on which tier that you purchase, you can definitely get access to me, and we can chat one-to-one, and I can teach you personally as a mentor on how to go about real estate, how to capitalize on this wealth transfer.